everybody. Welcome to Urbanise Talks. Today we have another treat for you, a giant into the industry. I have people that tell me I mustn't give people names, but this is the podcast where we give people titles, and these are not celebrity stages. These are celebrities in our industry. So this is a friend of mine, Chi, and I won't say how long we know each other for, but Chi and I go way, way back. So T, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Today, we're going to talk about the first 90 days in a new tech role. I hope you enjoyed this session. Welcome to Urbanise Talks. I think let's start a little bit and tell us a little bit about your experience in the industry. How did you start in the industry?
So I started a very, very long time ago when I was 16 years old as a Girl Friday in the IT industry. I used to be the one who found distributors and then put the distributors through to my boss. From there, I started getting bored. So I asked them if I can actually start a consumable. Well, in those days, it was Refill Kits. I'm now talking 1996, very, very long ago. And Refill Kits were the thing because people couldn't afford cartridges. And that's how I started. I started a little bit of that and got the consumable business up to scratch for them. Then one day we get this request from the Centurion municipality for Cisco kit. I had no idea what I was selling. I absolutely had no idea. It was some kind of tender. The people in the office said they're not going to waste their time, but if I want to do it, I can actually have a look at it. So I made friends with somebody at Westcon, and she explained everything to me, and we actually won the deal. And that was right about 1998, and that was about a 1.1 billion rand deal. It was my biggest deal I've ever closed in those days because I worked for quite a small IT company. From there, I moved on to another company that sold mainly cartridges into the industry, and I found that was the easy way to get into the businesses because there I was externally faced. So now I had to go find the business, and we went old school. We had databases that we bought from people that had contact names and numbers on. We used to go through the yellow pages. For those of the people who don't know what the yellow pages is, it was Google in a book with yellow pages where you can find companies, and it was categorized under the industries they were in. Then also we used to go to office parks. I was thrown out of many office parks because you're not allowed that little board that says no trespassers. Apparently, if you calling, you're a trespasser.
Yeah.
But we used to do it. We got thrown out. We made friends with the receptionist. We got some compliments, flips. Don't think they exist anymore today. But and that's how we started. You start being friendly to the receptionist. He likes you. You might get the name of the IT buyer. And then I started with selling them consumables. That was an easy sell those days. We only used to do compatible cartridges at that stage, and they were well priced compared to HP and the rest. And from there, we got into the IT equipment. So from there, when I left that company, I went into distribution. I started working at process distribution. And the same thing applied is dealing with people face to face, dealing with people in general. Not so much cold calling anymore. There we were given some basins. But I think the relationships you build from there is relationships that actually last very, very long.
And I think because we've said previously in these episodes that it's such a small then community, you're bound to see each other, along the way as you travel through distribution, even to end user.
Yes, the people stay the same, just the job descriptions and companies they work for change. Although it's massive, it's still very small.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you mentioned something key, but the thing I wanted to touch on was you said I was bored at that time and I went and asked for some other things to do. Today, we find a lot of the candidates that we're getting in to the tech sector come in and they're pretty much 8 to 5 sort of people, Do you think that we still make our targets, our proper targets for both the individual and the business if we have that mentality?
I don't think so. And the reason is if I look at, and I think I can blame today's parents, and I'm a parent myself, and I'm to blame as well, that we raise our kids that they've got a fallback. When we were kids, when we were younger, we had no fallback. Parents didn't have the kind of money and they couldn't bail you out all the time. So if I couldn't make my target, and also the split on your commission and your target of your basic salary, your commission you had to earn, otherwise you couldn't live. And if I didn't make my target, I couldn't pay my bills and my mom couldn't bail me out. And I think that made us work harder. Where today it's easier to come in and say, listen, I've got mom and dad, I'm still staying with mom and dad. I mean, the age of 20, we all moved out. Today, the age of 30, people only start moving out. And they don't have the same responsibilities. And I don't say they've got it easier. I mean, if you look at what rent was then and what rent costs now, you can barely afford to live on your own. But I think the way we were raised was different and we just had to make it work. There was no backup. Where today, I think there's a lot of backup and 8 to 5 doesn't cut it because there's so much that happens before 8, there's so much that happens after 5 that you cannot just live in that moment. I mean, I've got customers still today that can phone me 7, 8 o'clock at night when they need something. And you have to answer. Where these kids of today have a business phone and a private phone. And once they leave the business phones open, then it's all just private.
I think it's important to also note if you are bored in your current role, it's good to go and ask for more responsibility, to have that teachable attitude like I want to learn, as opposed to waiting for somebody to come to you in your review that you may have once in a month or once in a quarter, and then raising it then. Because we find a lot of good people are also leaving the market because they're bored. And I think it's important to mention another topic around balance. There needs to be some form of balance, you know. I think a lot of us from the olden days, should I say it like that, we don't understand the concept of balance because we are answering phones and emails and stuff after the allotted time. And while it's good to be available, sometimes you can't be present to the people that you call your family because you are, just overworked. So it's good to have some boundaries in place. And I think that's what you and I can learn from that experience.
Yes, I think they've got it right. They got that work-life balance to the T at this point in time.
And we, the ones that I think struggle with it. But I think what the younger generation could learn from the old generation is how to be hungry, how to be a little bit more teachable, than how to have a positive attitude, the role that they're doing.
Yeah, I think a lot of the youngsters these days, it's all about them and not about everybody else. I mean, first of all, when you walk into business, it's about the business and what makes business sense. And if you're not hungry, you're not going to learn. And anybody wants to grow, but people expect growth to come to them. But growth is where you go. I mean, where you want to grow. I didn't know I would like sales that much. I was fine with answering phones until answering phones wasn't really
Fine.
doing it for me.
What do you think the first 90 days matter in a new role?
First 90 days is very, very important as you need to start learning processes. People know who's who, ask as many questions as possible. Need to know the business and how the business operates because what was fine in your previous environment is maybe not fine in the second environment, in the new environment. So there is always these new systems to be learned and you need to know these systems before you can operate to your fullest because you can't after the first 3 months go and still, oh, sorry, I need to go and get back to you on this. I don't know how this works. It's very important to be efficient because that's how you win trust with customers. And if you don't know, and it's fine to say, I don't know. But if you really keep on saying, I don't know, it's not, they're not going to trust you. So the first 90 days is important, get to know HR, get to know your manager, get to know your team members really, really well. And in our industry, it's like get to know the brands, get to know the different people and who are the key players. That you know if you have an issue, you can walk up to anybody and say, help, I don't know what to do. Also, within the first 90 days, what I usually tell my new candidates, just in my side of seeing that I look maybe after Dell, I tell them to go study the Dell price list, go study Dell's website, see what's available. And today, ChatGPT makes it a bit easier to actually ask questions that you don't know. If you really don't have comfort in coming to ask a person, there's always that backup.
Yeah. I think it's important that people understand the role of listening. You may come to a new role with some industry experience or partner experience, but how that company works from a day to day in their culture, like he said, the people, you need to understand who are the important players, and also look at what value are you adding. So ask a lot of questions, listen, absorb, and once again be teachable. Otherwise, you're gonna find that you're drowning in that role. I think also in the first 90 days for us in a tech role, we haven't really on board have we don't, I'm not speaking for our company particularly, we don't really have a solid onboarding platform from the different companies that have been in this sector. So the assumption is that if we employ you for a sales role, you know how to sell. And I think from a business side, we really need to do better in terms of the onboarding program, and maybe put in an onboarding program that gives somebody the support they need without any experience whatsoever.
Absolutely, because everything, every person is different. You sell differently. The way I sell to people is a bit from the way you sell to people. Everybody's touch and approach is different. And I think when we employ these new candidates, and I usually don't go for an experience, I usually employ on energy and the willingness to learn, because I can teach you anything about the product, but I cannot teach you the will to sell the product or the energy or being self motivated. I mean, that is what you kind of need in a salesperson. And we need to then spend time with these guys one on one and do a lot of role play. I mean, in my days, we had a hell of a lot of role play. As much as I hated every moment of it, I can see that that shapes you into finding who you are and what's your way of going into the market. I mean, we all assume somebody walks in, oh, he's going to be a good salesperson because he was a good salesperson at A, B, and C. But every circumstance changed. Walking into Urbanise, your whole environment changed, your whole landscape changed from customers that you're now dealing with, because it's not always the same as the previous company. Might be a different industry. And again, you need to learn what is the go-to for your company values, and what picture you got to sell to these customers. So we'd really need companies to invest more when they get these sold.
Yeah, I think the onboarding process also need to be relooked at. Tell me a little bit about uh, what are some of the, for me, I say in this industry, it's still the industry where you can cold call and get a sale in thing day. Now, for instance, if I'm in, say, we in the transactional space, and I want to sell a particular item in the transactional space, which segment do you think I should start in, having no experience in the transactional space?
Start with smaller companies.
Right.
Is that it is definitely, but just to find your feet and get more comfortable in the role you are, then start attacking the next level. But again, it's how you reach out to these people, is who you reach out to in that first 90 days, or even just as body role. You always need to be customer facing, I would say. People that are scared of picking up a phone, you need to push yourself out of your comfort zone, because customers still prefer face to face. That's how you build rapport. That's how you build trust. I mean, I could judge your whole body language by the way when you sit across from me. Are you engaging? Do you want me there? Don't you want me there? And it's very important to be able to read the customers, because you don't want to flog a dead horse. You don't want to go and knock on somebody's door 50 times in 5 months and they're not interested. I mean, I don't say give up. I mean, you never take no for an answer. You try something different. But eventually you'll know this is a dead horse and please move on.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's important to go face to face. I think for us that's always worked throughout the years, because I think you can see people, you can like you said, feel their energy, and you can see if they actually want to do business with you. But I think don't go in blindly. You need to have done your research about that customer. You need to understand what, or at least get out of that meeting, what problem are you trying to solve, and just don't go and try and sell a product, because everybody's doing that.
Listen, I think that's the most important. Listen to understand and not listen to respond. And
Yes.
we all want to listen to respond instead of listen to understand. I mean, when you go in preconceived, I've got product X to sell,
Yes.
you don't really give a damn what the customer thinks. You just want to force it down their throat, which is not the right approach. In today's day and age, a lot of things have changed. So The competition is out there. The variety of products is vast. I mean, for any product, there's about 10 different competitors.
Yeah.
So you need to be so agnostic and listen to what the customer wants so that you can give the customer what suits their business the best. You need to be a trusted advisor. Otherwise, if you're just in it for your own pocket, it's not going to end well.
The customer is so well informed now because they have all the information.
It's
By
like
the
your
time
fingertips.
Yeah, but by the time you get, so you have to stand out to them in some way. And I think if you're authentic and you listen and you're genuine about what you do, and like you said, it's not just about saying, the customer will pick up on that and choose, whether they want to go forward with you or not.
And always be honest. I think that's the biggest thing in this industry is, and I've always been honest, no matter how difficult it is. But if you stuffed up, you put your hand and say, sorry, not this up. Don't try and lie because people know when you lie. And that's the best thing where customers will then distance themselves from you because it's easy to know when people lie.
So it's my first 90 days and I'm sitting in a meeting. I haven't made my target for the first 2 months. When is the right time for me to start asking questions and start contributing into the meeting? Is it target dependent? Should I wait until I get to know everybody and everything? Or
It's not target dependent, but if you have something valuable to say it. Every input will help. I mean, it's very difficult because, yes, in the first 90 days, people are target driven because if you don't make your target in the first 90 days, then
yeah.
you're out. I think companies should be slightly more lenient about it and maybe do a 6 months probation because the first 3 months, you're literally building relationship and rapport. And it's not always, yes, you're going to get the chance where you're going to walk into a customer and he's going to give you an order straight away. But to build the trust with the companies and also to find where you fit in takes a bit of time. So yes, you all have this thing in the back of your mind that you need to target, you need to target. But I think a lot of people, when you see the efforts being put in by an individual, I think a lot of management will step a little bit back on the target and give the person time to find its rhythm. So again, going into just sell is not always the best approach. But yes, if you've been seeing the customer for 90 days, you can kind of start having an open conversation and say, I've spent so much time with you. Is this going to go somewhere? Where's your pipeline? Where are we with these deals? What chance do I have to close this deal?
But even it's hard to have more detailed questions if you are asking. Yeah.
You need to be a little bit more direct. And you can, there's nothing wrong with it. Because what can they say? They can only say no. And is no really the worst they can say?
But I think to the managers, it's important to understand that you have to be supportive. You have to be someone that trains and coaches and mentors and you support your staff. And to the potential staff or to the staff that's kindly within the 90 days, if you didn't understand that it is, yes, a target commitment, but you can't have a 5 to 8 and a 5 to 5 mentality and then expect your manager to want to work with you. You're going to have to put out all the stops, ask questions, learn, be engaging, and look at the top players in the team that you're going into and take them aside and ask them for some assistance and see how they can guide you and assist you. So don't be afraid to ask for help because that helps you going forward.
Always be hungry.
Yeah. Be hungry.
Try and shadow the people and companies as well. If you're the employer, put them with your best salespeople because what better is it? I mean, that's how I started. When I started into distribution, I was put next to the top performer in the team to learn from that person.
Because that's important. That's the one you want to learn what the base is. Because you hopefully want to try to be better than the base.
That's the thing,
must at least learn. Yeah.
Healthy competition.
What mistakes did you make in your first 90 days?
Oh, depends on when we stopped. When I was, obviously, I started when I was around about 16. So there I did a lot of mistakes. Getting people's names wrong, attention to detail, spelling mistakes, emails. And so I did a lot wrong there. But a little bit more senior, what a mistakes is I found out the hard way, do not lie to customers, people.
Yeah.
That bit me big time. Rather just say you stand up. And I think that was my biggest mistake is the ones I did lied to the customer. And unfortunately, I'm one of those people that always get called out. I was good at that. So hence, I'm a firm believer of not lying to people. And also, don't get arrogant. I mean, I've always said stay humble, because the bigger your head, the harder you fall, and you will fall.
Yeah, you will. And I think it's so good because the customers they really understand. So when we say we mess up, like with any other individual, you want to be able to take accountability, to put up your hand, like he said, and say, listen, I messed up, and what can I do to resolve the situation? And then we move on from there. I think to the people who are coming into the industry that don't have any experience with a particular product or statement, please make sure you read, like Theresa said earlier, you read to understand, not to respond. You ask the customer many questions like what is delivery date, what is your budget. You match the spec. I think with us selling technical products, you match the spec with what the customer needs. And if you don't know, there's a lot of good people in the industry that do know. So it's important to ask and listen, and just to not assume that because maybe you've had 1 or 2 years at an IT company that you should know everything. We've done this for a very long time now, and we still learn every single day. We have to be teachable with this role. How can you build trust quickly?
By being hungry, being open, being honest. I think honesty takes you a very, very, very long way. Put up your head if you don't know. Ask as many questions as you can, because it shows me that you're interested. It shows me that you want to do this. Never ever shy away from asking a question. And if something doesn't fit right, then again approach it.
Yeah.
I think just showing up, but showing the energy, showing that hunger is very important for us to trust people in their daily jobs.
Yeah.
Because it shows me you actually want to earn that salary.
You care.
Yes. And you care about how you are. And your name is the most important thing that you can actually draw through this industry, because your name is the only thing you have. And as big as what this industry is, your reputation is well known to everybody in the industry.
And like we said earlier, it follows you.
Absolutely.
So from one company to the next company to a next opportunity, it follows you. So don't burn any bridges, because you don't know when to see each other again. I think as we wrap it up, tell us a little bit about what red flags do you see that you feel that a new hire is struggling perhaps in the first 90 days.
It will definitely be mistakes being made, attention to detail,
Right.
Things that they should know. And then obviously if they're scared of a telephone, especially we're talking about salespeople here, when you're scared of a telephone, you just want to hide behind emails. And I had people like that in my team that we coached, and you show them what a difference it makes to pick up a phone call than an email. The email I can ignore. I think that's one of the biggest red flags, is that you're a salesperson, but you can't pick up that phone. Then you need to be guided. You need to be coached how to pick up that phone, because anybody can delete an email. And so I didn't hear from you. I think that is very important. And you'll see as well, if there's no willingness to learn and arrogance, I think those are the biggest red flags in new hires.
Especially in the eyes of the customer and team, and this both internally and externally. Absolutely. I think if you have a big head and you think you know already, that nobody really wants to deal with you or give you the input because you feel you already know. I think it's important that people also understand that they must be certain about why they want to be in that role and what value they can add to that role. Because often enough, people, when I coach them, they say to me that they are afraid to pick up the phone, because there's rejection involved there. But remember, when somebody's saying no to you, they're saying no to what you're offering in that moment. They're not rejecting you as a person. So I think it's important.
That is very true.
To note that, and also believe that the service that you are offering and the product and the value that you're creating, everybody needs that. It also helps people with a little bit more confidence when you have to pick up the phone.
You can be anybody if you pick up the phone.
Yeah.
They don't know what you look like. They don't know your personal struggles. They don't know that you only started there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You can,
and they don't need to know.
They don't need to know that. It's the confidence you have with picking up the phone. And even if they reject you, it's like, okay, thank you so much. Anything I can change in the future in my pitch, take that criticism, ask the questions. and then to get responded, because you want to get a lot of no's before you get a yes.
Yes, Silpa. And I think the idea is not to give up. So everything about being honesty, don't give up, and I think be hungry, because sales is still one of the top professions to have at this stage. And it's not a role that everybody takes, because the misconception is that it's a role that everybody takes because they can't find the role that they wanted. It is still one of the top recognized professions in the country, and globally, because it's really important. You can write your own shit, but it all depends how badly you want it. So please like and subscribe, share our videos. Please contact us on sales and Urbanise.tech. Thank you so much for your time. So very good discussion. Thanks, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.